For the last 3 years, 4 years I've been doing teaching, 3 years in international school. I teach high school math and physics in Korea. So I've had practice giving people homework.
Oh, yes. Well,
And if people talk too much,
right. Yes. Right.
there's always the power of the yellow slip. Oh, rats, no yellow slips here. Okay, let's open with a word of prayer. Dear God, you gave us both a head and a heart. You want us to use them both. You gave us a mind to think and a heart that feels. And God, this is a hard subject because there's a lot of stuff here, and some of it makes us feel bad too. And I ask that you would give me clarity of word and thought, and that you would help us all to understand this. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay. How many of you have heard about or had any teaching in spiritual gifts? Okay. Was it recent or a long time ago? Long time ago, probably about 20 years, right? That's when it was in vogue. Okay, that's when we started to get it too. The only difference is we kept going. My brother started, I joined him about 20 years ago, and I did about over 10 years of research on it. Okay, motivational insights. Is anybody familiar with that term? Okay, who has heard that term? From where? Okay, I think Bill Gothard uses that phrase, okay? And that's where we originally got it long time ago, okay? How about cognitive styles? Anybody familiar with that term? Cognitive styles. That's the psychological term. It's the same stuff, okay? It's the same thing. It just means types of thinking. How is your brain wired? How do you approach life? The website we have is www.cognitivestyles.com. There's a bunch of information there. Spiritual gifts. How many lists in the Bible are there of spiritual gifts? As far as I know, there are 3. There's one in Romans 12, and there are 2 in 1 Corinthians 15, right? Now, we will be looking only at the one in Romans 12. Okay? The 2 in 1 Corinthians, one talks about a job that you do, and the other talks about a special gifting that you have. Okay? If you look at those 3 lists, you'll see, for example, that prophecy appears in all 3 of them. That suggests that there is a thinking style of prophecy, Romans 12. There is a gifting of prophecy, and there is a job of prophecy. Okay? We will be looking here at thinking styles, the Romans 12 things. How does Romans 12 start? Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, right? That you may prove what the will of God is, right? Thinking, using your mind. Don't think more highly than you ought to think, right? So this is all about the mind. Okay, that's the intro. I just wanted to give you guys an orientation on where we're going to be heading. Let's start. How many are there? How many different types are there in Romans 12? 7. Good number, right? Okay, seven types. Does anybody know what the names are? Well, here's one. Mercy. Mercy, teacher. Perceiver. We use the words from Bill Gothard, just because that's what we started with. You will sometimes find prophecy. It sounds a little intimidating. Perceiver, same letter, it's a little less. It doesn't have so many connotations. Server. Okay, so mercy, teacher, perceiver, server. Exhorter, contributor, you might find giver sometimes. Facilitator, you might find ruler. So there are the terms. I want to spend about an hour looking at the 7 different types. So trying to give you guys an idea what you are. I'm a perceiver person. You'll find out soon enough what a perceiver person is like. We'll look first now at 2 which are emotional. Did you know that there are 2 types of emotion? We're going to be going over this concept a number of times this evening and tomorrow. There is the emotion that is felt with pain and pleasure. Some things feel good, some things feel bad. We all know about that emotion because our body teaches us about it. There is also an emotion that's intellectual emotion. The light bulb that goes on above your head. Okay? That's not a natural emotion. It's one you have to learn about. So, the first person that we look at, the mercy, he's going to be obvious. He's going to make lots of sense. The next one we look at, the teacher, he's going to seem like a really strange bird, because he is. Okay? So let's look at the normal emotional person, the emotion of everyday life. Okay, the mercy person remembers and learns from experiences. The mercy person usually remembers a lot from their childhood, their early childhood. Other cognitive styles, they may not remember as much. Labels events emotionally. These experiences, the memories of a mercy person aren't just like a tape recorder. Each one has a feeling associated with it. Oh, that was fun. Oh, that was horrible. One example, a girl was going with her. She was a mercy. She was going with her boyfriend. They were walking down the street, window shopping. She saw a puppet in the window, and the puppet was wearing a certain type of costume. Suddenly, she felt bad. Why? She didn't know. But there was an experience with a bad emotional label. Okay? Where did it come from? At home, she remembered that as a child, she had been in a play and had worn a dress that looked like that costume. See? An experience. One thing that's similar to another. And the dress had ripped, and she had been embarrassed. That's where the emotion came from. You see? So as an adult, she saw the similar dress. It reminded her of that experience. Even if she couldn't remember the experience right away, it colored her experience in the present. Okay? That is how mercy emotions work. Everywhere you go for the mercy person, everything is flavored by all the memories that come back. Okay? Sensitive to atmosphere. Atmosphere, well, okay, what sort of atmosphere do we have in here? It's an old building. There are nice arches. It's kind of slightly dim lighting. Okay? That sort of thing, a mercy person picks up like that. They don't have to think about it. It hits them between the eyes. I have a friend who's a mercy person, and it almost affects him physically when he sees strange colors. Or let's say lines with checks. In Korea, you sometimes get some pretty strange fashion combinations on the subway. And they're painful, especially for a mercy person. Reads between the lines. The mercy person doesn't hear so much what you say, but what you don't say. The way you say it. What you didn't say. And they may read into what you say more than you actually meant to say. Aware of expectations. We should act like this. Oh, I want to do this for you. I want to help you this way. Identifies with others. The mercy person is the one who will see the bird with a broken wing and say, oh, can I help you? That's the mercy person, that identification. Sometimes they'll shut it off and they'll look quite cold on the outside. Oh no, the identification is there inside. They're just shutting it off because it hurts so much. Feels what others feel. There's the identification. Embarrassment, that example that I gave you. Depending on what your memories are as a mercy person, You may have your experiences either colored by good feelings or bad feelings, depending on what your background was. Okay? It can be very nice being a mercy person, it can be a real pain, especially if you live in a world where everybody hurts each other. It's hard being a mercy person then. And often, when I do a seminar like this, the people who are helped the most immediately are the mercy people, because they realize, oh, it's okay for me to be me. It's okay for me to be different. It's okay. I don't have to be like everyone else, because the mercy person wants love. They want acceptance. And so, if I do this for you, will you love me? If I do this for you, will you love me? But then there's no person inside. They don't know who they are. And so then often they don't get the love. It's a real struggle there. Social standards. Etiquette, Miss Manners, mercy person, okay? Dress, the color coordination, making sure everything is right, and your husband or wife, that they are also dressed properly, very important, and your children. Appearance, the way things look. Brand names, labels are quite important for a mercy person. Enjoys family gatherings, birthdays, special occasions. The mercy will remember, it's Joan's birthday on the 3rd of December. I must do something special for her on that day. The mercy person also loves it when other people do something special for them. Christmas. My mother is a mercy person. So on Christmas Day, we have a special ritual. We all stand in line from youngest to oldest, and then my father says, Kinder, that's Weihnachten, which is Low German for children, it's Christmas, and we all run it, walk in, file in, singing Stille Nacht, Heilige Nacht, okay? Why do we do that? Because that's what my mother's father did. See? And it brings back the memories. So we are creating good experiences for my mercy mother. Wants friends who are kindred spirits. Anne of Green Gables. Are any of you familiar with that story? Yes. Okay. Written, obviously she doesn't exist, but the story was written by a mercy person. Friends who feel like me. And I should add one other thing to this. They are often spiritually sensitive. They sense things that other people don't. Okay? It varies depending on the person, but often if there's that real spiritual sensitivity, it tends to go with the mercy person. Some historical examples. Everyone from Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson, Abraham Lincoln. Oh, we got a good one. Mahatma Gandhi, Joseph Stalin. Yes, actually, yes. Because the sensitivity is there, but with what happened with Joseph Stalin is his father would beat him mercilessly just for fun. So now he's learning from experiences. What sort of experiences is he learning from? Horrible ones. The computer is, we're looking at a computer here, how it's wired. What your upbringing, your decisions, that determines what goes into the computer. So a mercy person, it's like a Mac or an app or an IBM. That's your computer. Now, what are you going to do with it? It can go all the way from Abraham Lincoln to Joseph Stalin. Okay, enough on that. Let's look at now we're going to look at the strange emotion. Mercy emotion, it's right hemisphere emotion. It's experiential emotion. Teacher, left hemisphere emotion. Intellectual emotion, verbal emotion, the sort of stuff that teachers try to get you to recognize when you go to school. They try to get you to recognize, hey, isn't it fun to learn? Doesn't it feel good when you complete this math problem? You know, there is an emotion there. What do you think drives all these mathematicians? It's not mercy emotion. They don't know anything about that. It's teacher feeling. It's intellectual feeling. It's the feeling of, I got an answer. I know how it fits together. I see how things relate. Oh, there's structure. There's order. Okay. Asks why. Wants general laws. See, this person remembers specific experiences. This person, general laws. This person wants to know, you tell the mercy person about something, they say, who are you talking about? Who? Which specific person? Teacher, he forgets the who. He wants to know, what's the meaning behind this? Okay? What's the universal theory here? My mother's a mercy person. My brother is a teacher person. Believe it or not, these two types do not naturally get along. Okay? I know that from personal experience within my family. But it is also a real struggle within society. The mystical and the scientific. Do they get along? Not naturally. Intellectual, personal. Do they get along? It's hard. Okay. Remembers the theory, forgets the fact. This guy has lots of memories about his childhood. This person does not. Just one request. Because we're doing videoing, if you can limit your walking across the camera. Okay, thanks. Builds facts, learns from trusted sources. For the mercy person, one experience reminds him of another. Remember the story of the doll, okay? The teacher person, well, how does the teacher person work? Okay, think of a wall. All the walls around here. This brick goes here, this brick goes here, this stone goes there, this stone goes there. Oh, that doesn't fit there. Oh, it all fits together. Wow, that's teacher thought. Now, the teacher wants to know every stone, make sure it's a good stone, it's a proper stone. How does he know? He will make sure he learns from the right people. Huh? Distant and analytical. He will sit in the corner watching. Historical examples, Einstein and Newton. How much more distant and analytical can you get? Okay? They're very good at sitting in a room and thinking about the meaning of life. They said of Einstein, he talked about space-time the way other people talk about meat and potatoes. There's a quote, I'm slightly misquoting it, but that's the sort of thing that we're looking at. Emotional underneath. You think that this person isn't emotional because he doesn't have this emotion. Oh yes, he's full of feelings. You attack his theory, you attack him. He is his understanding. He identifies with it emotionally. There is lots of feeling there. And often this person will pull back because it's hard to be in life. This person will also pull back. He's got his nice castle, his structure, his wall that he has built. He lives in it. It turns into his castle. He builds a nice moat around it. He pulls up the drawbridges, and he's happy with his theory. Notice the emotion. He's happy. Nothing touches it. He's safe. That's the way he often does. He is his truth. Poor implementation. Very easy for him to live in the theory and not do anything with it. Wants friends who thinks like he does. The mercy wants friends who are kindred spirits, this experiential emotion, common experiences. This person wants friends who have common thinking patterns, common theories. Okay? So we have two types of emotion, totally different though. Okay, before we go on, any questions?
So
yes?
They both have very insecure people.
That's right. Each of this is a different type of person. Okay, let me introduce this concept now. For the first time, I'll be mentioning it a lot of times. You can look at cognitive styles in two different ways. Number one, each of this is a person. You have a teacher person. You have a mercy person. You can also look at cognitive styles in terms of a part of your mind. Everybody has a teacher part. Everybody has a mercy part. But the teacher person lives in his teacher part. The other parts are under the surface. They're there, but they're subconscious. Subconscious means you can't get at them easily. It takes longer to do something with them. Okay? Mercy person, we all have mercy parts. but the mercy person lives in his part. Okay.
Is it possible for somebody to be a hybrid of sorts?
Aha. Next question. Are there combinations? Yes and no. The first four we're going to look at are what I call the simple styles. They're associated with the cortex of the brain, the thinking part of the brain. They are not combinations. The last three are associated with what's called the subcortex of the brain. It's underneath. And each of those three are, in a sense, combinations of the simple ones. Okay? So we'll see that as we go further. Okay.
And not everything here applies to one person. It's like one person can miss some parts.
Okay, I tried to answer that. Let's see how I'll try to cover that later. Let's see how that works.
Just coming in on that heading, nurses.
Yes?
Which I go with, I mean, that's your choice. This type of thing, my exposure to it, not what you've done, but my exposure, has been using the word compassion.
Okay, sure.
Are you quite happy about compassionate mercy?
We use these labels because we got them from someone else, and because they happen to have the advantage that each of them starts with a different letter.
Oh, I see.
Makes it very handy. Perceiver. Obviously the best one, because that's the one I am. Seriously though, in immaturity, almost everyone naturally assumes that their cognitive style is the only one that's sane, and that everyone else is either insane or possibly misguided. Okay? And that all the world's problems would be solved if all the other people were more like me. Yes. Okay? So, just to remember, God created 7 cognitive styles, not 1. And what happens is, you'd think, why should I learn from other cognitive styles? Why not just, okay, I'm a perceiver, good. I create my nice little perceiver world. Why not be happy that way? Because all of you have a brain that has all 7 parts. And you know what happens when one of the parts doesn't work? Well, what happens when you have a computer and your hard drive doesn't work? Is that good? No, it's very bad. Okay? When you have a computer, you want all the parts to work. It gets pretty nasty if some of them don't. Same thing here. You pay a big price when part of your mind is not operating. Okay? Perceiver. The 2 we looked at before are emotional. These 2 have to do with knowing or confidence. Okay? So let's just do this. We got emotion and confidence. Now, emotion, we kind of know what that means. Confidence, there's an interplay between emotion and confidence. Let me give you an example. Okay, I walk here. That doesn't take too much confidence, does it? No problem. I have that skill. Great. Okay, now, imagine there's a log here. And the well here that goes down however many feet, it actually is a big chasm here. And now I have to walk across this chasm. Has this action changed at all? No, I'm still moving my feet in exactly the same way. That's the same action. Is there more emotion involved? That's right. So the question is the confidence you have in a certain action or fact is the amount of emotion you can handle without falling apart.
Well, it's emotion involved because before you were working quicker and now you're working
That's
slower.
right. There's emotion because there's the danger, there's some fear, something horrible that could happen. So what happens is emotion affects confidence. Confidence has to be strong enough to handle emotion. Think of emotion as the pressure in the pipe. Confidence is how strong the pipe is. You see? Now, why do you think faith is tested? Okay? It may be very easy to say, I believe in God on Sunday morning or Saturday morning or Shabbat or whatever, right? Come Monday morning, what happens to that belief? Okay? It may be really easy to say smoking causes cancer, but what happens when I want a cigarette? Okay? It's not, Mark Twain said, you can only, it is only if you believe something. I'm trying to think, is this Mark Twain? Okay, anyway. Let's just say the quote, I think it's Mark Twain. If you say you believe something, but do not apply it at the one place where it counts, you don't believe it. Okay? It's the level of confidence that can handle the emotion. Okay, there's the interplay. Now, these two that we're looking at, they have to do with confidence. This guy, the perceiver, is confidence in facts, information. This person is confidence in actions or doing. There are two types of confidences. This guy is right hemisphere. This guy is left hemisphere. Okay? If you look at the brain, there's a facts part right there. There's an actions part right there. Left parietal, right parietal. Okay. Perceiver, associative thinker. Associative thinker is not linear. He goes from A to B via the alphabet. I'll give you an example. Do you know why fire trucks are red? Well, you see, a fire truck has 4 people and 8 wheels. 4 plus 8 is 12. They're 12 inches in a foot. A foot is a ruler. Queen Elizabeth is a ruler. Queen Elizabeth is also a ship. Ship sails on the sea, sea of fish, fish of Finns. The Finns fought the Russians, and fire trucks are always Russian, and Russians are red. So there you go. Fire trucks are red. Okay, that is an example of pure associative thought. Now, the mercy person also thinks associatively, but with experiences. For the perceiver person, the associative thought has to do with ideas. Okay, it's an abstract associativity. And one place where that comes in, as all my friends will tell you, is puns. You just think, a perceiver naturally thinks of the various meanings. It just comes to him. One-liners, ideas. One-liners like, what's that? It's a microwave.
It's a traffic light just about to change.
Black and white. With the mercy person, the labels are feeling. I feel good about this. I don't feel good about this. With the perceiver person, it tends to be, this is right and that is wrong. Labeled within very prophetic robes. How do you know what's right? Well, it reminds me of this, and I know that's true. How do you know that this is right? Well, it reminds me of this Christian group, and they must be good. How do you know that's wrong? Well, it reminds me of that other religious group, and I know they're wrong. Okay? That is immature perceiver thought. Perceiver thought that hasn't developed very much. It's a good start, but you can go further. Subject to truth. The perceiver is an idealist. If it's true, he has to obey it. And he wonders why the rest of the world does not. Conscience, duty. The person on the white horse, Don Quixote, tilting at windmills, that's the perceiver. Repentance. You must change. This is right. And then you give the perceiver a new fact. Well, I guess this is right. He can change that way. Different labeling. The perceiver is famous for saying, this is true, and then when the actual situation comes, or somebody believes him, he says, well, I think it's true. It's an interesting thing there. Blunt. He's not, well, if it's true, I just have to say it. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. What can I say? It's true. Circles of reasonableness. Okay, let me give you an example on this. We got a circle here. Let's see. How much does petrol, gas, cost in Israel? How much a liter? For about, what? Let's say $1.30, $1.20? Something like that? In US dollars? Okay, let's say about that. Now, So that's the price. Now let's say you go to the gas station and you see gas for $1 a liter. Oh, okay, that could be. But if I told you that there was a gas station which was selling it for 40 cents a liter, would you believe me? No, it's unreasonable. Do you see? Dollar, maybe for $1. But for 40 cents, no. Now, if somebody tells you gas is $3 a liter, are you going to believe him? No, it's unreasonable. Okay? It's your perceiver part that is giving you that information. The perceiver part lives in that. It's the same thing as etiquette and atmosphere for the mercy, reasonableness. So, guess what happens when the perceiver goes to a totally new situation where he knows nothing about it? How is he going to feel? Lost. I don't know what's right. I don't know what's wrong. I remember going first to Korea and trying to figure out how to buy electronics, because I'm a computer tech. I didn't know how to even buy stuff. All the rules that I learned in Canada about buying electronic parts, none of them worked in Korea. I had to relearn everything. Lost in the new. Hypocrisy. Okay, mercy person hates insincerity. Let me say that again. The mercy person hates insincerity, where the vibes you get from a person are inconsistent. For the perceiver person, he hates hypocrisy. Doing one thing, saying another. Now, guess what? Our dear stand for the truth, I know it's right, perceiver, he's often multi-sided. Because in immaturity, he has not tied together his various definitions of truth. He may have a definition of truth for church, another one for work, another one for science, another one for home. And they may not be consistent. So he ends up, despite himself, being a hypocrite. And that's where you need the other parts of the mind for the perceiver. If he's by himself, he's going to be a bundle of inconsistencies. It's as he uses the rest of his mind to help him bring things together. And now, what part of the mind brings things together? We just looked at it. Which? It's the teacher. Remember? Because teacher emotion feels good when things fit together. Okay? I spent 10 years working with a teacher brother. It was very good for me. Painful at times. And I'm sure I inflicted pain on my brother, but very good for each other. Okay, attacks the problem. Sensitive underneath. These are the facts. Oh yes, this is the truth. I'm sorry, I have to kill you, but nothing against you personally. That's just what it is. See, that's perceiver thought. Mm-hmm. It's true. I'm sorry, but that's just what the truth is. So it's a struggle for the perceiver with justice and mercy. Because we all have a mercy part. It all works. It works on all of us. It works in all people because that's the part that develops first in the child. But the perceiver lives in truth. So he struggles tying together the facts and the feelings. Okay, let's go now to the server person. The perceiver person has confidence in what? In facts. The server person has confidence in actions. Okay? Faith, cause and effect. That's perceiver confidence. If I know, does smoking cause cancer? If I run across the street, may I get hit by a car? That's perceiver confidence. It says this action, this experience, and that experience may be connected. That's this one. This one says, do I know how to walk across the log? Do I know how to play violin in front of a bunch of people? Okay? That's confidence in a skill. So two types of confidence. The server has both a blessing, the server person has both a blessing and a curse. You see, can I impose facts upon the world? I want to say, okay, I want to create a balloon right there. Bam, there it is. Can I do that? No, I can't. So the perceiver person cannot impose his thought upon the external world. He has to use the rest of his mind. It's very frustrating. How many times I wish I could create something instantaneously. The server person can impose a skill on his world. He just moves his body. Okay? The server person thinks, walking. Wow, I did it. I'm done. I'm walking. That's how easy it is. That's a blessing and a curse for the server person. The blessing is it's easy for him to develop his part of his mind. The curse is it's very hard for him to go further than that. It's a real struggle because of our physical body. Just that's the way we're made, all of us. He lives in the present because in the present is when you can do things. Physical action. Emotionally stable because as long as you're doing something, it doesn't matter. You can control your emotions. Where the server person becomes emotionally unstable is, for example, if he has to change houses, move from A to B, he may never do it his whole life. If he does it, it may affect him so strongly, he'll throw up, literally. It's so hard for the server person to move. It's a struggle. They can learn, but it requires developing the rest of the mind. Or if they don't know what they're going to do in the long term. Then the emotions start going up and down. But the server person, they're like, the emotions are always like this. They're like this. The mercy person, boom, 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 boom. Okay? Server person, typically. Sees what needs doing, does it himself. The server person likes to solve problems with an action. Oh, here, somebody spilled something. Here, let me clean it up. It's just instinctual for them to do the action because that's how they think in terms of actions. They're not good at delegating to others because delegating means going past the action to thinking, now, how would I say that and tell somebody else to do it? Oh, I'll do it myself. It's so easy. Do you see the blessing and curse of the physical body? Comes up in the server. Practical, does not learn useless theory. Yeah, they want to do things. What can I do with my hands? Working with my hands. Forget the useless theory. That's for the teacher. A place for everything, everything in its place. Again, if your mind is not developed, what happens is you substitute the external world for your mind. Let me say that again. Here's your head, okay? Great picture. Oh, yes, I know. My students complain about my art, too. Okay, here's the person. If your mind is working, you don't need anything out here. If your mind is not developed, you need the external world. Okay? The server uses their server part. They develop conscious thought. It's hard for them to go further. So where does the pen live? Oh, it lives there. Where does the eraser live? It lives there. Where does the paper live? It lives here. Where do the scissors live? They live here. Do you see how that brings emotional stability? I want the scissors. Oh, it's here. The external world has everything in its place. I go there. Oh, the scissors are here. Oh, good. Now I can do my action. Okay? That's how a place for everything, everything in its place. That's why it's so hard for the server person to move, because it messes up where everything is, where everything lives. Does the repetitive if it's important. Now, we'll look later at the exhorter person. Get them to do the repetitive? No way, Jose. They might do it once, or they'll tell somebody else to do it. Get the server person to do it. So the server person, because they like actions. Hey, I know what to do. I can do something. Okay, is it important? Good, I'll do it. Now, they're a person too. They don't like to do useless stuff. So here's an interesting interplay. The exhorter person will tell the server person, because talk is cheap, eh? So, exhorter person says to the server, will you do this for me? Will you write this out for me? It's very important. Easy for the exhorter person to say that. So the server person says, oh, I'm doing a good job. Good. Good. Will you do this again for me? Fifth time. Why am I doing this? This isn't important. He's just putting me on. standard interplay. So the server person often finds excitement by doing boring activities alongside exciting people or within exciting ministries. Okay? Let me say that again. The server person, because they like excitement too, but they find it hard to generate themselves. They're an action person, so they will get their excitement by finding some exciting ministry that's happening, and then, okay, what boring activity can I do here? Not boring, what repetitive activity can I do? You see? The cheerleader. Okay? Actions. Isn't it exciting? Okay. So, follows the example, the way I was taught. Yes, the mercy person, for them, results are important. Because remember, they think of experiences. My mother, when she cooks, it's all tasting spoons all over the kitchen. The server follows the recipe. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Oh, you mean the meat's a little dry? Oh, well, but that's what the recipe says. See, it's following the recipe. Now, it's very interesting. Action and results are different parts of the brain. For example, a bad golfer is not necessarily a person who is poor at golfing. A bad golfer can also be a golfer who has perfected the skill of golfing badly. Do you understand what I'm saying? The server part learns the skills wrong, but has perfected the act of following this skill. The mercy part says, wait, the results are bad, but it's a different part of the brain. The action part and the results part, different parts of the brain. So you can get the action part happy and the results part frustrated. Huh? There's another example of one part happy, another part not. Okay, so now we got a great computer, everything's working except the video screen. Great, right? Okay, teacher and mercy, they will never, ever marry. Perceiver and server, as far as I know, will never, ever marry. They're too different. By the way, who marries? The same? No. You never marry yourself. Why would you marry a mirror? It's bad enough looking in one. Right? I mean, why would you marry someone who has the same hang-ups you do? Forget it. Okay, would you marry someone that's totally different than you? It's no spark. What you do is marry someone that's close to you, someone that completes mental circuits. That's who you marry. So, teacher and server, they're both left hemisphere. Very common. Perceiver and mercy, right hemisphere. Very common combinations. Okay, very common. Okay, any questions on perceiver and server? How are we doing so far? Questions? Okay.
Sorry,
Yes.
Are these things not cultural? What do you think of those things?
Yes and no. Okay, now that's a whole nother question. I'm glad you raised it. What happened? Okay, we got two levels here. First of all, we can look at this as a person. The type of person you are, this is the room in which you are conscious. I'm going to say it now with a little bit more detail. The one in which you are conscious, where the room in which you live. That is your cognitive style. So, conscious means where you live and have control. Sorry, my writing is not very neat. I'm not a server person. Okay, that is your cognitive style, where you live, where you have control. Okay, so you can look at it as cognitive style. You can look at it as a part of the brain, which everybody has. Everybody has a server part. Whenever you're doing an action, your server part is working it. It's storing, it's executing the routines. Now, let's look at societies. Different societies, different cultures, different ages, different countries tend to emphasize either different styles or different combinations of styles. Now, examples. Because of our physical body, the first part to develop in every person, regardless of what your cognitive style, is the mercy part. Because you live in a world of experiences with feelings. Huh? And one experience is connected with another. So that's the first part that develops. So a less developed society, a tribal society, guess which part is dominant? Mercy. Okay? Africa, mercy thought. Bottom line, we'll see later, contributor. If you want a perceiver-oriented country, I would suggest Britain. The stiff upper lip. Okay? Duty, truth, honor, loyalty, conscience, all good, or at least they were good British concepts. Right? That's perceiver thought. Does it mean that everybody in Britain is a perceiver person? No. It means that the culture makes sure that that part works. Okay? Go to some other societies, the more Latin societies, we'll see the exhorter part works. Okay? Other societies, much more doing-oriented, server. Okay? So you have several levels here at play. Good. Now that, because I am a school teacher, let's do some review. Oh dear. Oh dear. Okay, let's see how much we can do without looking at the notes. What are the 4 cognitive styles we have looked at so far?
Teacher, mercy, perceive, and serve.
Very good. Teacher, mercy, perceiver, server. Let's take it one more. First one is? Okay, teacher, mercy, perceiver, server. Okay, which are the 2 emotional ones? Teacher and mercy. Which is the normal emotion? The human emotion. Mercy. That's the emotion of the physical body. Which is the school emotion, the intellectual emotion? Teacher. Which are the 2 that work with confidence or knowing? Perceiver and server. Which one has confidence in facts? Perceiver. Which one has confidence in actions? Server. Okay, good. Can you tell me a few perceiver traits? Remember, perceiver has confidence in facts. Okay, tell me some traits of the perceiver.
Hates hypocrisy.
Hates hypocrisy. Good one.
Sees 2 sides of the argument. One is right and one is
That's right. He sees 2 sides of the argument. Actually, it's his side, which is right, and the other side, which is wrong. Okay? Other things about, give me 1 or 2 more about the perceiver. The emotion is under the surface with a perceiver. Think of him as Spock in Star Trek. Okay? You understand? Spock is totally logical, but he has a human mother. See? The emotions are there under the surface. The perceiver part can see next door. Okay? Good. That's the perceiver. Mr. Facts, Mr. Right and Wrong, Mr. Truth. Perceivers are good at maps. Just think that way. Okay. Give me some server traits. Server is sees a need and does it. Server is confidence in what? Good. Confidence in action. So sees a need and does it. What are some other things of the server? They tend to do, everybody hates repetitive action, but they're the ones who tend to do it the most. Okay? They are emotionally stable. Very important one. This way, emotionally.
everything in its place.
Everything in its place. I should add another one. There is an inherent, you'd think that everybody would step on the server person. They don't. Because there is an inherent classiness about them that protects them from other people stomping on them. Has to do with that confidence. Okay? It's not in-your-face confidence, but it's this quiet knowing that does protect them to some extent. Okay? Teacher. Give me some teacher traits. Teacher is emotional with what type of emotion? Intellectual emotion. Okay. I should give you another example, some examples of intellectual emotion. I've mentioned just school, but there are other examples. For example, if you see synchronized skating or synchronized swimming or let's say an acrobatic air team with the planes going synchronized. That's teacher emotion. Because you're seeing many things fit together. Okay? That is another example of teacher emotion that's not intellectual. Okay? It's the order within complexity. That's the technical word. Okay? That's teacher emotion. Okay? Teacher traits. Sorry? Remembers theory, not experiences. They remember theories. They remember what they said to whom. Okay? Another teacher trait. Abstract. Definitely abstract. Yes. Okay? One more. Sorry? Asks why. Yes. Excellent trait. Why this? Why that? They want to know the reason why. The theory behind it. Okay? Mercy traits. Mercy is emotional. What type of emotion? Human emotion, personal emotion, experiential emotion. Okay? Some mercy traits.
Associative thinker.
Associative thinker. Who else is also associative? Perceiver. Perceiver and mercy are both associative. Mercy with experiences, perceiver with facts. Okay, some other mercy traits. Sorry? Identifies. Very much so. Good trait. One more. Yes? Oh, yes. They definitely want friends who not think like them, who they can empathize with. Yes. Very much so. Okay, good. We got 3 more. The 4 we have looked at so far are what I call the simple styles. They're the 4 that are associated with the cortex. They're associated with content. The 3 that we're going to look at now, they're combinations, so to speak, of these 4. And they're the motor that runs the mind. The 4 that we've looked at so far, they tend to be more cogitative, thinking, passive, produce the content, behind the scenes. The 3, they're in your face. They're doing stuff. They're making a buck. They're working. Okay, let's start with Mr. Motormouth himself.
Quiet there. Wife's thinking know everything.
Okay. By the way, exhorter and contributor is a very common marriage. That little interplay you just heard was an example. My brother-in-law and sister, exhorter and contributor. Very common marriage. It works well. But it's quite, sparky. Lots of things happening. The motors, they turn. Okay, exhorter. Imagination. Now, when I'm talking about the exhorter, I have to raise my voice about 10 decibels. I have to increase the exaggeration factor about 3 times. And I have to make it much more exciting. And I have to sweat more. Because curiously enough, it seems that the exhorter often perspires more than other people. Yes, especially preachers. Sees the potential in a situation. Just think you could still do it. Just think what you could become. Just imagine. Now, unfortunately, guess what the rest of the mind does? The exhorter part has the imagination. It's the rest of the mind, the other people who get there. And so it's so funny. My dear brother-in-law, he will say often, he'll cook a dinner or do something, and it didn't turn out the way I imagined it would. So the imagination is so great, but the reality, it struggles to keep up with the imagination. So now, all of these people we've looked at so far, they tend to develop their own part of the mind and allow the other parts to other people. Exhorter person is no exception. He is the leader. He has the vision. His in-group fills in the details. His in-group, he tends to be a little clumsy because you see movement, initial movement, this is exhorter movement, okay? It's coarse, it's big, it's large. If the rest of the mind isn't developed, it's clumsy. So what happens when the exhorter spills the soup on his tie? If he's a good preacher, all of his people will rush up with claws to try to clean it off. Okay? His in-group. He is the vision. Looks like the exhorter is calling.
That's an idea.
Hope. Hope is a big thing for the exhorter. If he has no hope, he's dead. It's just life is over. He's got to have hope. Exaggeration. He's not exaggerating. No. He's just seeing things the way they could be, the way they should be, the way they will be, if you, as his follower, will make sure that you implement his vision. Okay? Now, here's the combination. Exhorter, notice how it starts with different letters, is a combination of teacher and mercy. He ties them together. Sounds a strange combination, but you give the exhorter an experience and he'll learn a lesson from it. You give him a theory and he'll say, how does that apply in real life where the rubber meets the road? Okay? That's the exhorter. He ties it together. Now, these two, how do they think? Using emotions. This guy builds on emotions. He works with emotions. He is great at living in a hotbed of emotions. If there isn't one, he'll either create them or move to some place where there are emotions. Okay? Notice my voice has gone up in tone. But he does not work with emotion. He works with excitement. Let me say this again. Teacher and mercy use emotion. The exhorter uses excitement. There are two critical differences between emotion and excitement. First difference, emotion loves to feel good and hates to feel bad. Excitement doesn't care. All that matters is the strength of the emotion, the intensity, okay? Going down a roller coaster is exciting. Does it feel good? No. Right? So, that's the first difference. The second difference between emotion and excitement is emotion is for always. Okay? It's a long-term thing. I love you forever. Okay? This theory is true forever. Excitement, oh, depending on what it is, it'll last a week, 2 weeks, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Okay? It gets bored. So, let us review. What are the two differences, critical differences between emotion and excitement? Number one, what is it? Excitement does not care about what? Whether it's good or bad, emotion does. Good. First difference. Second difference is? Right. Excitement is temporary. Emotion is? Right. Now, you can tell the relative operation of each of these in a society by the way that society gets excitement. If the excitement comes from a continual string of new thrills, there isn't much activity happening here. It's all happening there. If the excitement comes from subtlety, small changes, little differences, you can tell that this is working a lot. Now, if you watch your average North American movie, special effects, you get a new kick about every, 10 seconds, 5 seconds? Okay? That tells you it's almost pure this, very little this. Another example of one part being happy at the expense of another part. Oh, great. My video card's working. My hard drive's working. Now it's my memory that's bad. You see? In each case, you got a computer and one part's blown up. You don't want that. You want them all to work.